The Copa Italia kicked off this week, and it had crazy ending, upsets, and plenty of drama. What's up, everyone? The Copa Italia kicked off this week and had plenty to talk about. To start, Lecce won 1-0 over Como, and Lecce just scored a beautiful team goal. Outside the box, there was an overlap to the end line, got it to the end line, played it back to about the penalty spot to the top of the 18, and they just buried it. Nothing Como could really do. It was a tight game, but at the end, Lecce pulled out 1-0. In a tight battle between Cosenza and Sassuolo, it ended 5-2 towards Sassuolo, but it was in extra time, and Cosenza put up a great fight. Cosenza scored in the 9th minute, and then right at the end of the first half, Sassuolo got a goal back to head into halftime at 1-1. And then in the 79th minute, Sassuolo got a PK, and they buried it. Cosenza then came back right at the end, right at the death, 90th minute, put in an equalizer for 2-2, and they went into extra time. In extra time, Cosenza had a player get his second yellow, so he was sent off in about the 101st minute. And then after that, it was all Sassuolo as they buried 3 in OT, leaving it 5-2. But, hand clap for Cosenza for putting up a fight against a pretty decent Serie A squad. In a great matchup between Salernitana and Ternana, we saw it go 1-0 towards Salernitana with a 7th minute goal by Candreva, free kick, low blaster, nothing the keeper can do about it. It's just Candreva just being like fine wine, still scoring golazos. And for Ternana, they're going to be looking for Serie B, looking to compete mid-table, maybe get into a playoff spot. If you haven't yet, check out Ternana's Copa 90 episode. It's really good. You should give it a watch. Hellas Verona were matched up against Ascoli and came out 3-1 with an early goal by Verona, scored in the 2nd minute. Ascoli were able to level it in the 39th minute due to a penalty, but then right before the half, Verona got a 45th minute goal. And then just like the first half, they came out the second half hot, got a penalty in the 47th minute, put it away, 3-1, and that's how it ended. In a Serie B matchup, Bari played Parma, and Parma just played beautifully all game, got the 3-0 win. Both these teams were fighting for promotion last year, and they probably will again this year to fight to get to Serie A. But Parma looked really good in this game. I mean, they scored early in the 9th minute. They added another in the 34th minute, and then again in the 75th minute. And you got to check out their goals. Dennis Mann scored a cheeky back heel. Great goal. Great play from Parma all around. In the first cup set of the Coppa Italia, saw Empoli playing Cittadella, and Cittadella got out of there with a 2-1 win. Again, an older goal scorer in Serie A, Caputo, in the 8th minute. Empoli got off to a hot start. Caputo scores, but Cittadella hung around. They got a 61st minute goal. I really don't know if it was a cross or a shot, what it was. All I know is it ended up in the back of the net. And then 10 minutes before the final whistle, Cittadella got another goal, and they even got awarded a penalty at the end of the game in the 88th minute, but were unable to score that. But with the first cup set of the tournament, Cittadella took out Empoli 2-1. We saw Bologna play Cesena to a 2-0 win. Another fast start where Bologna scored in the 2nd minute, and then they actually added one at the end of the game in the 80th minute for that 2-0 scoreline. If you haven't seen Xerxes' goal, he had this beautiful back heel turn right on the top of the 6, and then just put a hard shot on frame. Goalkeeper got a hand on it, but there was no stopping it. It was a great turn. It was a great play. Hopefully he can keep it up this season with Arnautovic moving to Inter. We also saw Serie A new boys Genoa facing off against Modena in a crazy game. It ended up 4-3 for Genoa. They ended up taking the win. Great debut by Retegui. I mean, they scored in the first minute, and then Modena equalized in the 29th minute, and then took the lead in the 40th minute. Genoa made a mistake there at the back, and Modena was there to pounce on it. Genoa then leveled it in the 45th minute, and then Genoa added another one in the 51st minute to go ahead. And then in the 57th minute, Retegui got a brace in his debut. And at the end of the game, Modena got a late goal to make it 4-3, but it wasn't enough, and Genoa beat them. Just one thing to point out from this game, if you haven't seen the Modena hits, they were clean. They were like white and yellow, white and gold. They were clean kits. They looked really nice. Another promoted side, Frosinone, played Pisa to a 1-0 win. Frosinone got a early goal in the 7th minute, and it was a sloppy goal. I think it hit off the defender as it was trickling down the line right in front of goal. There really wasn't much in this game. We also saw Udinese beat Catanzaro 4-1. Udinese scored an early 9th minute goal where Thovan had a great play for an assist. I mean, it was really his show. He had a great game for Udinese. Catanzaro were able to equalize in the 12th minute. Udinese took the lead back in the 49th minute off of a great run by Beto. Great effort. He ran it down, a big ball over the top, just muscled by the defender and put it in. Udinese was then awarded a 64th minute penalty, and Thovan put it in. Then in the 93rd minute, Udinese got another goal. And one thing to point out in this game, Udinese debuted their zebra kit. I think it's not the traditional stripes like Udinese has, but they have this zebra crest, and it looks pretty sharp. With everyone going to modern designs, for them to whip out this zebra crest is pretty cool. With another Serie A versus Serie B matchup, Spezia won on PKs against Venezia. Spezia went up early with a 20th minute goal, and Venezia answered in the 54th. Spezia then got awarded a PK in the 61st, which they converted on, and then they got awarded another one a couple minutes later in the 64th, which they weren't able to score. And then third penalty of the game was called for Venezia on the 81st, and they leveled it. There was no action in extra time, and the game went to PKs where Spezia won. But one odd thing I noticed while watching this game was the game was played in Cesena. I'm not sure why. Does anyone know why? Torino was on upset alert against Feral Pisalo. I don't know if I said that right. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But Ferra got up early in the 17th minute on an absolute bender. Great goal. Then Torino answered in the 22nd minute. There was a nice back heel assist on that goal. And then Torino scored again in the 85th minute, a late winner in that. One thing to point out from this game, the Ferro Pisalo goalie was playing on his head. Looked like a young kid, might be someone to watch out for the future. Recently relegated Sampdoria played Sudorol, and Samp got up early with a 17th minute goal, where Sudorol answered back in the 45th minute right before halftime. A bad mistake by Sampdoria led to that goal. And then no more goals were scored. They went into extra time, and then on to penalty kicks, where Sampdoria won 8-7. Another relegated side, Cremonese, took on Crotone and beat them 3-1. Crotone got out early in the 9th minute. Cremonese were able to answer back in the 30th minute, and then they went to extra time. Cremonese got a 105th minute goal, and then put the cherry on the top in the 117th minute. In another big upset, we saw Monza take on Reggiana, and Reggiana were able to pull another cup set against Monza. The first goal came on a corner kick for Monza that was sent near post, then flicked back post to D'Ambrosio, who was making his debut from Inter this year. It was a good team goal. And then Reggiana had a brilliant 20-yard strike to tie it in the second half. And then they were awarded an 82nd minute penalty to win it. And another thing to note here is Reggiana had some pretty sweet kits as well. And now on to the game of the round in Palermo versus Cagliari. Cagliari ended up pulling it out 2-1. There was just all late goals. I actually tuned into this game around the 30th minute, so I was able to watch it. And it went to extra time. First goal came in extra time in the 100th minute by Cagliari. Thought they had wrapped it up. There was still some time to play. It was kind of going back and forth. And then Palermo get their opportunity and put it in I think the 120th. And then right after that, Cagliari come down the field. There was an incident that on the sideline, the ball went out for a throw-in. And right then you could see the Palermo players, they kind of like throw their hands up and kind of look disinterested for a split second. And right there, Cagliari threw it in, got at line, played a ball, back post. Guy making a hard run to the back post. It was a good team goal, caught Palermo off guard, and you got to stay invested. You can't have those 2-second mental lapses in the last minute of the game. Or a good team, the Serie A team, will take advantage of that. And that's what they did. A couple things to point out from this round of the Coppa Italia was how competitive the Serie B teams were. I felt like they were pushing some of the Serie A teams. There was some upsets, even some games like the Sussalo game where it was a big score line, but it was all in extra time. So there was a bunch of good matchups and saw the Serie B teams really put up a fight. And I think it really showed kind of like the depth of Italian football. And, you know, there's good teams in Serie A, but there's also good teams getting some investment in Serie B. Another thing to note from the weekend was I felt like there was a lot of early half, end of half goals, a lot of teams getting off to quick starts within the first 5-10 minutes, and also teams, let's say, equalizing or scoring another goal in the extra time of the first half. Similar, obviously, there was a lot of goals at the end of the games, you know, past the 80th minute and beyond. That was good to see, kept everyone invested and interested. Serie A is starting up this weekend, actually. Excited for the new Serie A season. I think there's a lot of teams that are going to be fighting for those top 4 spots, those top 7 spots. I think there's going to be some mid-table teams that might push above their weight. And I think there's going to be a really interesting relegation battle with some newly promoted sides versus some teams that, you know, might slip up this year. With this year's Coppa Italia, who do you think is going to win it? It's an interesting tournament where it's single elimination for most of it, except for the semifinal, where it's 2 legs. And we saw Cremonese last year take out Napoli and Roma. So who do you think is going to be a dark horse this year for the Coppa Italia? And who do you think is going to take it home? And that will wrap up this round of the Coppa Italia and to start the Serie A season. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you later.